think we should go? Let's go. Hi. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jason. I'm the new horn teacher at the University of Idaho. Big thanks to Jeff for letting me come out and speak to you guys about a couple of things that I just find important. What you're going to hear today is nothing groundbreaking. It's purely informative. And I think it's really important to get involved in a part of our bodies that we don't often think about. I want to really dig into our ear and also talk to you about a routine called the Leuba routine. Spoke a moment ago that some of us have studied with Chris Leuba and are very scared by studying with Chris Leuba. But one thing I did get from him was this really fantastic concept of really talking about pitch, not only pitch but playing in tune, not only in tune but in tone, right? Finding the center of your sound, playing in tune, droning, and this got drilled into me. I took occasional lessons with Chris Leuba, but my main mentor was Jack Herrick at the University of Northern Colorado. He was a Leuba prodigy, and I got all of that stuff hammered into me through him. Then I also had a chance to study with Marion Hesse, who was a Grammy-winning horn player with the Chestnut Brass Company, who was also a Leuba student. So I'm kind of continuing this process that I really passionately believe in. But this is geared towards more those who are younger horn players, older horn players. It's just those who may not know a lot about the complexities of the ear. And that was me a year ago. Okay, I'm finishing my doctorate at the University of Colorado Boulder. And one of the classes I took, well, I took 2 classes my last semester. I'm like, I gotta find something. And I pointed. And it happened to be psychology of music learning and music cognition. Okay, let's do this. And it happened to be probably the greatest decision I ever made. It's really changed the way I teach, the way I approach a lot of my teaching, not only for myself, it's our goal is to teach others, to teach themselves. So I'm trying to teach myself things, but also my students. This is really the way. This is a fun quote I found from Edmund Jitz. He's an Egyptian who was persecuted and eventually ended up in France. And I just think this has a lot to do with imagination, imagery. It really is So, here. Okay, 4 quick, I'm going to try to go quick so you guys can go look at stuff and then move next door. So, if I'm sprinting through this, I apologize, but please ask questions. 4 things I want to talk about with the ear: survival, acoustical energy, breakdown of the ear, and auditory transduction. Okay, these 4 things are crucial when it comes to understanding what's going on with these holes on the side of our head. I love this picture. This guy was obviously not using his survival, one of his survival tools. And I'm not sure what to make of this picture. I don't know if it was staged. It sure looks real to me, and that line doesn't look too happy. So the guy wasn't listening, right? This is a survival thing. This is what we first used 500,000 years ago as a Homo erectus, or whatever the name is. We didn't take a lot of enjoyment back then. We tried to survive. Please come in and find chairs. They're all up front here. I get it, sorry.
They're sort of trickling out of the master class.
No, yeah, no worries. So our question is, how do our ears go from survival to something that we use to enjoy some sort of vessel of enjoyment? Okay, and this is one thing you should never do. Don't put up a bunch of data on a screen, because you're going to stop listening to me and you're going to start reading. So I apologize for that. But just a couple things I want to throw out there. 500,000 years ago, we started taking interest in things. Shiny quartz crystals. They would find these digs of people with, well, not bags are all gone by that point, but collections of stones that they used for personal. We found them to be something that they enjoyed keeping and holding on to. 200,000 years ago, tools shaped for show, not utility. Think maybe tribal leaders wearing a hatchet or a knife that is adorned with jewelry, things like that. Things of interest that they would wear, not use, right? Moving along, ceremonial tools found in burial sites, and then we start getting interested in sound. Okay, the first bone flute was made 53,000 years ago. Okay, dance rituals started to get involved in music as well, right? Sound, maybe not music, but sound, right? Flutes and bull roars, creation 30,000 years ago. And at that point, the interest in sound took an exponential turn. Okay, more instruments made. Notation, just like a serious look at sound as something that we could enjoy. Okay. The second thing I want to get through to you is about acoustical energy. I do not profess to be an expert at a lot of this stuff. I find a lot of this very interesting, and I will walk you through a few things. There are some amazing, amazing things that people could go to graduate school and study when it comes to acoustical energy. Okay, it's just a fascinating topic. So we're going to talk about 4 descriptors of acoustical energy. Okay, or run through this so you know the horns and music. Okay, frequency, right? Measurement of the number of periodic waves that give us over a span of time, right? The purple guys, we associate this as pitch. Okay, frequency we associate as pitch. The purple guy is really high pitch. The red dude, low pitch. Okay, that's one descriptor. Frequency. Another one. Descriptical amplitude, loudness, angry birds. Okay, amplitude. This is really important. You'll notice here the crest of the sound waves are at the same spot, crest and valleys, right? So this is just an indication that things are getting louder. There's more energy behind the sounds that we are hearing or making. Okay. Sprinting forward. The waveform itself, I just find it so fascinating. I'm still having a hard time wrapping my brain around this. This mathematical representation of a complete vibration cycle. And what you see here, what I decided to put up there was, I want to put up more than just the sine wave. We all know what that looks like, right? I want to put up the resultance wave. This is the addition of the first, second, and third harmonics. Oh, sorry, the fundamental and the next 2 harmonics, right? And you get this green result wave, and we associate that as timbre. This is what a horn sounds like. This is what an oboe sounds like. This is what saxophone sounds like. You know what I mean? But it's really important. And I just want to get across that there's other ways we can talk about when it comes to droning. I think it's important to articulate what it is we do, what it is we hear, and how we hear it, right? We are here at the Northwest Horn Society for a reason. We are trying to make what we do important and also well known, right? We're trying to branch out and reach the world, and this is another way to do that. The last one, ADSR. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of this. This is what we call the sound envelope. This is the amount of time it takes to recognize a sound, a pitch, and timbre, frequency, all those things, right? There's an attack, a decay, a sustain, and a release. Now, most of my students, we always talk about attacks and decays, so I'm not putting it in the right spot. We need to be talking more about attacks and release and how we release. Yes, we use the word release, but I think we use the word decay and release interchangeably, and maybe we shouldn't. We should talk about the articulation and then the decay that happens so we hear our sound, and then there's the sustain and release. Okay, the sound on the 4th descriptor of acoustical energy. All right, now we get to the guts here. We get to the breakdown of the ear. Literally, I'm approaching 40, and if you all know more about my body, especially with the profession that I'm in, I learned a lot of stuff that this is news to me. I mean, I always knew about the stirrup and the anvil and the horse or whatever it's called. I've heard of those things in 5th grade, right? But we don't really get into it. And I kind of want to, yes, it's a really busy slide, and I'm sorry, but I really want to get into this. There's 3 parts of the ear. Outer ear, inner ear. Middle ear and inner ear. Gosh, really hard to articulate this. So we have the pinna and the auditory canal, right? Basic outer ear. One thing, actually, in fact, there's one slide. We're going to get to the inner ear right now. Okay, good. So this guy right here, the eustachian tube, this is the thing this actually goes right into the sinus cavity. Right? It's filled with green goo and really nasty. So when you guys are blowing out your ears, that's where the air is going into the middle ear to clear the tympanic membrane to get it to kind of resonate the way it should. When you find yourself getting off the plane and your ears are plugged, it's because this thing's closed from pressure. And therefore, if you're coming from sea level to Denver, there's a lot of pressure built up in here. You got to clear it by opening up your eustachian tube. I thought that was kind of fun. All right. The tympanic membrane, the incus, malleus, and stapes, the 3 smallest bones in your body, right? These 4 things fascinate me. I'm going to show you a short video in a moment that's going to go through a little bit of this because the video articulates this stuff better than I ever would. And it's important for you to see it because you can show it to your students as well. But these 4 things are wholly responsible for taking in mechanical energy and basically translating it. It's not turning it into electromechanical energy, but it's translating it, the information you get into the cochlea. Okay. Oval window. Right. Going a little fast. I'm sorry. These 4 things, and there's this thing called the oval window here, or round window here. Sorry, oval window is here. The cochlea, auditory nerve. Okay. We're going to get into this. This is really, really neat. But this, I never spent enough time on this during my undergraduate degree or even my master's degree. I just excerpts when auditioning, and that's kind of unfortunate. So I want to take it upon myself to share this with you. This is a video. It's really important. Another thing you're not supposed to do during a presentation, show a video. But this is really important.
The sense of hearing is accomplished by a process known as auditory transduction. The ear converts sound waves in the air into electrical impulses, which can be interpreted by the brain. As sound enters the ear, it passes through the external auditory canal, where it meets the tympanic membrane. The tympanic membrane then vibrates in response to the sound. Sounds of a lower pitch or frequency produce a slower rate of vibration, and sounds of lower volume or amplitude produce a less dramatic vibration. Higher frequency sounds produce faster vibrations. The tympanic membrane is cone-shaped and articulates with a chain of 3 bones called the auditory ossicles. They consist of the malleus, the incus, and the stapes. The movements of the tympanic membrane vibrate the ossicles, passing on the information of frequency and amplitude.
What amazes me because of all the stuff that's happening.
The 3 bones pivot together on an axis shown here in red. The pivotal axis is due to a series of ligaments which hold the bones in place within the middle ear cavity. The anterior malleal ligament and the posterior incutal ligament are of particular importance for the pivotal axis. 2 structures which normally obscure this view of the middle ear have been removed. They are the chordae tympani nerve and the tendon of the tensor tympani muscle. Through the ossicles, the vibrations of the tympanic membrane are transferred to the footplate of the stapes. The stapes moves with a piston-like action, which sends vibrations into a structure called the bony labyrinth. The labyrinth is filled with a fluid called perilymph. If it were a completely closed and inflexible system, the movement of the stapes would be unable to displace the perilymph, and therefore unable to send vibrations into the bony structure. Due to the flexibility of a membrane called the round window, the stapes movement can displace the perilymph, allowing vibrations to enter the labyrinth. The corridor leading to the round window is found within the spiral portion of the bony labyrinth known as the cochlea. Vibrations produced by the stapes are drawn into the spiral system and return to meet the round window. The portion of the spinal passage in which vibrations ascend to the apex of the cochlea is called the scala vestibuli. The descending portion of the passage is called the scala tympani. A third structure, called the cochlear duct, is situated between the scala vestibuli and the scala tympani.
This part's fast.
The cochlear duct is filled with a fluid called endolymph, and when viewed in cross-section, the membranes separating the two fluid-filled systems are visible. They are Reisner's membrane and the basilar membrane. The membranes are flexible and move in response to the vibrations traveling up the scala vestibuli. The movements of the membranes then send vibrations back down to the scala tympani. A specialized structure called the organ of Corti is situated on the basilar membrane. As the basilar membrane vibrates, the organ of Corti is stimulated, which sends nerve impulses to the brain via the cochlear nerve. The actual nerve impulses are generated by specialized cells within the organ of Corti called hair cells. The hair cells are closely covered by a structure called the tectorial membrane. As the basilar membrane vibrates, the tiny clusters of hairs are bent against the tectorial membrane, triggering the hair cells to fire. The entire basilar membrane does not vibrate simultaneously. Instead, specific areas along the basilar membrane move variably in response to different frequencies of sound. Lower frequencies vibrate the basilar membrane closer to the apex of the cochlea, whereas higher frequencies produce vibrations closer to the base. This arrangement is known as tonotopic organization. Together, this sequence of events is responsible for our acoustic perception of the world around us.
It keeps going. It's even cheesier. But I hope it gives you a really good idea of how small of a structure we're dealing with that provides so much dramatic information. So when you talk about hearing loss, what generally happens is in that area, the hair cells are pushed down, and then they're torn when it comes back up. Right? They're no longer connected to the basilar membrane. Okay, that's where hearing damage occurs. Okay, and so I mean, it's something that small of a structure. It's really, really simple to sit next to a timpani player and have them go bam, and that causes a lot of damage. All right, the brain, where the magic happens, the black box, if you want to call it. I really like this quote from Dr. Seuss, and I wanted to throw this in to talk to young students who are still unsure about what's going on with the horn and how long they need to pursue it. Okay. I don't want to take too much time talking about my background, but I started late. I took my first horn lesson in college. Okay, I was an engineering major, and I was terrible at it. Both, actually. And it took time. And I kept doing it. I was an armored truck driver. I did drywall. I did worked for a moving company. I did title work. I just did whatever I could to keep playing my horn. So I encourage you, if you're young or old, whatever, if you still want to keep playing the horn and find yourself a career in the horn, keep going, keep plugging. Like, I'm not one of those guys who's going to win a gig when I turn 22 out of grad school. There are factories where that happens, in Rice, Northwestern, whatever, but it's just like that wasn't my direction. And I want to really encourage you that, yes, you have control. I promise you. I know it doesn't look great sometimes, and I've quit twice, so I've been through that. So I encourage you to keep plugging ahead at once. All right, let's get to the brain. 4 things we're talking about: the brain, primary, auditory, cortex, where all the data goes in that you listen to. Most of it, if not all of it, is handled there. The Heschel Starus, which is inside the auditory cortex, plana temporalis, which is also inside the auditory cortex. And I want to talk a little bit about absolute pitch and some research that I've come across to what we can kind of see if it's genetic or not, and whether if there are anomalies that occur in the brain for those who do have absolute pitch. Okay, this is where it is. Both sides, right? Both your ears. Analysis of auditory information. There are several processing centers within this thing. I'm going to focus in on 2. And first, information is deconstructed, then reconstructed. for you to have some sort of idea of what you're hearing, okay? Electromechanical energy is converted from mechanical. Yes, we talked about that within the Heschel's gyrus. That's where most of it occurs. We talked about some of this already. All right, this is what it does activate. It said auditory cortex. We start talking about memories, short-term memory. We compare what we call expectations versus surprise, things like that, and actually locating where sound does come from. All right, little yellow guy. That's where it is, inside your noodle. Okay? From Dr. Charles, he did a huge study on this, and I have things, we'll put together a reference page that I'm happy to share with everybody when it comes to this. That's just a location of where the Heschel's gyrus is. This is where a lot of the deconstruction of auditory information occurs. Okay? What he found was that professional musicians show a significant increase in activity in that part of the brain. They also found that that part of the brain is bigger for those who are musicians. And I'm talking any level, aren't you? Professional. Okay, those of you who play an instrument, this part of the brain actually gets larger. The planum temporale. So, Heschel's gyrus is here, planum temporale is here. You'll notice in that picture over there, the sizes are different, and there's a reason for that. So this is out of that study. This is actually, he located this with an fMRI machine and found that those people who have absolute pitch, this is what their planum temporales look like inside their brain. This is what a non-musician looks like, non-absolute pitch. Okay? Stark contrasts and differences, and we're going to talk about a little bit about why. Okay? Dr. Ian Quinn, I know this, I'm throwing this up there and it looks rather daunting. Ignore the top half. I want to talk about the bottom half. Dr. Ian Quinn, who's a cognitive theorist at Yale, he came and did a lecture, and I really latched onto him. I was that really annoying student who wouldn't stop following him around and asking questions. He brought up this thing called the tube mechanism theory, which is absolute pitch. Okay? That's remembering data, auditory data. That's all it is. It goes into the processing system, planum temporale, auditory cortex, right? Now, what he put here, yes, we go into memory to deal with that. What he postulates is that there is an extra set of synapses in your brain for those who have absolute pitch. Okay? This information not only goes through here, but it also goes through here. Okay? There's a heightened tonal memory through here, and the ability to perceptually encode pitch. That means remember. Okay? You only have to hear it once to remember. It's really, really cool. Pruning. Okay, this is what I want to talk about, why those things are different sizes. When you're born, your body produces over 50% of the neurons that you need. Just ready for action. When you're born, you have no idea what language you're going to speak. You don't know if you're going to be able to eat pizza. You don't know if you're going to play a trumpet. You know, there's just things that your body has to be ready for. Okay, so these neurons are just waiting to connect with other things to create synapses. Okay, but here's the deal. Synaptic structure of the planum temporale is decided early, up to 8 years of age. This is why we always say get your kids in piano lessons, get them in voice lessons, start on an instrument early. That's why. Okay? It's and what it means, the structure is decided early, but still there is a genetic aptitude towards having absolute pitch. It is focused in this early stage. Okay? Still, everybody's structure is decided early. But those who have absolute pitch have a secondary set of synapses, okay? And by the time you're 13, most of your synapses are pruned. That doesn't mean learning is not possible, but it's just more difficult. And you always hear that kids learn language early. This is one of those reasons. A lot of synapses ready to fire, okay? All right, good. All that stuff's out of the way. Let's talk about droning, okay? When I was studying with Jack Herrick, we had a Peterson strobe tuner, and he gave me this book, Leuba's Daily World. Okay, this book's a great book. It needs translation. Now, because this is one of Christopher Leuba's famous quotes. Okay, it's even in the book, right? It's okay, fine. All right, yes, I missed the point. I get it. And he writes it in such a way that it's like, what? So I have pencil marks all over my book and Jack, and it's like we went through various stages of how to deal with different exercises in drumming. You heard Martin talk about it earlier today. Take a co-brushing tube, drum. That's what they're really built for that. Okay. A few things we'll talk about right now when it comes to the application. STPP, the drone, terminal energy. I'm having a little technology issue. If I put it up there, something goes wrong. So you can kind of see my computer screen. We'll talk a little bit about long tones, Leuba's long tones, and a couple Leuba exercises. And then we'll get you out of here so you can go look at stuff. Okay. Audiation. You got to ditch your horn, guys. You got to be singing. Okay. Comprehension and internal realization of music through imitation. That's one of the many definitions of audiation. Okay. This is the one I really lock onto. I think it's absolutely true. Sing, tone, buzz, play. You've heard sing, buzz, play. I'm not sure if you've heard sing, tone, buzz, play. What I mean by that? My heart's cold. If I play a G. Give your student a reference pitch. Have them sing it. La. This is my challenge to you. I want you to tone it. Does anyone know what I mean when I say the word tone? Other than easy. Okay, toning. What I want you guys to do, I want you all to try this on a G. Okay, I want you to form mostly your arm shirt, right? Form your arm shirt. Leave a fairly large opening. And it's going to sound like this. You hear the pitch, right? It's just a lot of air. Don't whistle. That doesn't count. Try with me. Right? What that does, really consider what's going on with your tongue. Do it again. Ready? Right? It puts it in position to play a G. If you really think about it. I really honestly think that my tongue is in the same position when I play and when I tone. Okay, I think it's real important to get that aspect out there. It's like, let's work on your tongue position and your oral cavity without having your horn involved. Okay, it really helps lock in that idea of the oral cavity, which we all mark with our students. Okay, buzzing, you obviously know buzzing. Now, there's two ways to buzz. This is what I have my students do. One, I would rather them buzz with confidence first. So I literally have them wrap their hand around it. I know you're not supposed to do this, but I like creating a little bit of an amplifier with the hand. I'm still holding finger and the thumb, but I'm kind of wrapping the rest around. So you just kind of create a bigger sound because I think it gives confidence. What I prefer is one finger, one thumb. Reason being, keep the fingers up. You don't smash it into your face, right? Which we have a tendency to do when you put the whole hand around it. So I really suggest to your students, yes, get them confident buzzing early. This is fine. But at some point, they got to get away from that. It's real important to work with less pressure, right? Good. Moving on. The drone, tonal energy. Okay, this is complicated. What you have here are two different pictures of the same key and same pitch being played. Two Ds, right? One's green, one's not. And what you see here is this app. Here, let me set this up so we can kind of see what's going on. Alright, guys. Alright, so what you see at the upper left-hand corner, it says temperament, and in green it says just. Okay, this goes along with Chris Leuba's writing, talking about just and pure temperament. There's another word for it, pure temperament, right? Lowering the third, raising the fifth, lowering the sixth, not raising the seventh string players. You know what I mean? So it's just real important working within just temperament. Okay, so both of these are set in the key of B flat with just temperament. Our orange arrow here indicates that I played that D at A440 right down the middle. If you had just a good old tuner, I understand. Cork tuner, that's A440. It's a tune. It's not tuned to key of B flat, right? But that's what it looks like. That's how high we are, right? About 14 cents. It's a little off, but it's close enough, right? we got to bring our thirds down 14 cents, which you see over here with this app. Okay? We brought it down where it's tuned, but at April 40, it's 14 cents flat. Okay? This $2 app replaces a $1,000 Peterson strobe tuner, and it really makes me mad because I bought one of those things. So, we need $2 for that. Sweet. No. So, this is set up in B flat like this. If I play my D, you see, you got a happy smiley face, right? Unfortunately, it's hard to see. I really apologize for the technology glitch. But this is what happens when you play. So if I play with this nice B flat major scale, play my horns gold. It gives you a good indication as to where you are, right? And that's the easy part, right? Now. We get to, where are we? There we go. There he is, the man. Christopher Leuba. Another great quote. Good intonation is certainly one of the most discussed subjects among musicians. Though, like the weather, much is said, and little is done about it. Here, he said this back in 1964. Okay, so yes, we are doing more about it. He was one of the pioneers when it came to working within an orchestra, which is hard to do. We can have a discussion of whether or not just intonation really works in an orchestra. It does to a point. But yeah, this is Christopher Leuba. He was principal horn, if you know who he is. Principal horn of the Chicago Symphony from 1960 to 1962. He was right after Phil Farkas. Phil Farkas' second term, principal horn. And then he moved to Seattle and became principal horn of Portland Opera. And he's had a phenomenal career out here in the West. So, this is first thing in his book. I just happened to title it Extension Slurs on page 1. Okay. Again, this is Leuba's thing. He puts it here, and then there's not a lot of detail. Okay. So I added some detail, a little bit. I apologize for the small screen. I didn't figure it out. But what this is, what I have, I'm starting to do. This is slow drone work. Slow drone work. Okay. So if we set this in the key of G, draw a couple octaves. That one needs the most work. You need to become aware of these things. And this, what he's done, is very simple, but it's very concrete, and just, it's excellent. And I think with the drum, it's even better. And I'll try something in a second to see if I can get this to work. Because there's a great tool within this app that analyzes what you're doing, so you can work on attacks and other things.
So that was a D that you were doing?
Yeah, a horn G. Oh, yeah, sorry, horn G. Yeah, you can set it up to transpose. Right, apologies, yeah, that's a horn G. This is the second one. I put Leuba Herrick expansion drill because Herrick is the one who taught this to me. But he said, Herrick, like I said, and so I put both of names on it. But this is a great drill that I drill into my students and they're tired of it. I apologize. Not really. All right, so one more time. And
technology doesn't like.
Express enough the importance of going about this. Chris Leuba was one of the first, I mean, many people, yes, work on the concept of just intonation, but no one pushed it as hard as he did, and as hard as my teacher did, and I'm not seeing it as much. I don't know if you guys went through this when you studied with Leuba, but this was drilled into me, and I find it, I'm not the pitch problem when I'm in rehearsal. I'm not. I'm very confident about that. Because I can adjust, and because of all these things, I just feel like I'm more aware. And that's not because I'm a fantastic horn player. I'm just, I think, educated. And this is a real good way to educate yourself on just a different way. I'm sure many of you play very, very well, but this is what I rely on to be confident in my play, is doing loud plays. And there's one more, it's modal scales, which I'll not play through, but just another, it's a scale exercise, right? You stay in the mode of G, you just go up, working on your scales. Actually, I will do this one, I'll just turn the drum on. Actually, the drum. Oh, another version of this tonic modal scales. Then you just sit on the G and you go through all the key changes. Just playing on the G rather than going back tonically. You just stay on the G. You play, G dormant, G frigid, G living, blip. Down. I forgot to put that in. Are there any questions about drill? Yes.
What's the name of the app?
The app's called Tonal Energy. Yeah, Tonal Energy. And they just came out with it on Android 4 months ago. It was an iOS app for a long time, and I thought it was just strictly Mac, and that's not actually one of the reasons why I bought on Mac, and then they came out on Android. So yeah, it's very cheap, highly effective. I wish I could show you another really cool thing about it, but it would be hard to see. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
It didn't seem like just intonation would work with it. Symphony don't.
Right, yeah, it's almost, well, no one really wants to hear a melody that's in pure temperament, It's because of the characters and the colors, but I mean,
That's what orchestras.
but there's the possibility of that in orchestra, right? That bringing the third down is just that everyone has to know about it. And here's the thing that I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it seems in the brass chorale kinds of maybe portions of the symphony or something. You really could.
Yes.
Do the just
Yes.
intonation, make it sound better.
Absolutely. So what I run into is that, and one of the orchestras I play in Colorado, the conductor actually said it. String players love to bring the seventh up. Let's get really close. Get the grindy. And then the conductor actually said that. I'm like, no, it's the third, the dominant. You can't do that. I said, but there's a lot of discussion we can have on whether or not why shouldn't there be an equal tempered orchestra. Percussion, for example, say, well, You got to do that. And is it freer for them to do that? Are they? Is there more liberty in artistic expression to play an equal temperament? Right? Or are we just hung up on so many rules that playing the pure temperament? I'm a fan of this, but I just think it makes me more malleable, able to adjust more, quicker, faster. Exactly.
Isn't it important in ensemble work? I mean, that's why a string quartet sounds so good, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. When you get into chamber work, I think that's even more important, and I think they do display that. And string quartets are amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. They're more effective that way. Yes, sir.
I have a question. What does that thing put here about?
Oh, okay, microphone, and this is actually very important. I got this lavalier microphone from Smart Music in the box. So you buy Smart Music in. This is just a little extender. I don't need this. This guy, this USB thing, especially if you have a Mac or MacBook Pro with only one input for headphone and microphone, this is a USB port, and it splits it into two. Right, and you can choose, it'll come up USB input or speaker or what you want. And you can choose that through your Mac. I haven't done it on a PC yet, or a Windows machine. There's actually one more cable. Let me show it to you. I have all kinds of gear questions here. It's from StarTech.com. And this works great in an iPad. For those of you who want to use total energy on an iPad, it's again, one input, two out. Works great. Okay, because for the longest time I had to stick in actually an external Blue, the company Blue, a microphone in one side, and then have of my iPad, and then have the microphone, the audio out on the other side, and it worked. But this is way cheaper. It's like literally $5, I think. StarTech.com. It's great, great. And you have to use it because this is a giant machine. I don't know why they took out the microphone input. They put both into one thing, thinking they were going to be amazing, and it's really frustrating. Yeah. Any more questions? That's MacBook Pro, the giant heavy one. I kind of wish I had an Air. An Air can do all of this. It's about any fun. Yeah, for sure. Any other questions? Anybody? Please. If not, I think we're good. Well, thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. I really appreciate it.